thanks to God for His Word and for sunshine.
Amen.
Amen.
I can't stand still. Is this the perfect Rogation day or what?
Yes.
Lovely. And the readings reflect the loveliness. Talking about the animals, all the plants, the flowers, the fruits, the river of life, bright as crystal, sun up there I think it's referring to. And Jesus telling us through His disciples, be fruitful. Bear fruit. Here we have non-medicated. Non-medicated dirt? I did not make that up.
Chicken feed.
Okay.
And so maybe we could call this Down and Dirty Sunday. The one time during the year that we can do that. You know, the readings really are encouraging us to appreciate the beauty around us, to appreciate the food that the earth prepares, and to be guardians of all of that. And I can't think of a more perfect time of year to have Rogation Sunday. I don't know how people can drive down just any street and see azaleas and tulips and bluebells. That's what I've got in my front yard, a bunch of bluebells. Dogwoods, your dogwoods blooming, and not know that there is some great creator who put all that there. It's just too gorgeous in the spring. Reminds me of South Carolina where I spent 20 years. Now that's truly magnificent, because every house has a dogwood, azaleas, and rhododendrons. It's mind-blowing to drive down the street. You know, the sun is in my eye, but it's just as hard on the eyes to drive through all of that color, and azaleas in colors you never knew they grew that way. I'm a new gardener, and even last year, I said, if you're here on Rogation Sunday, because I preached that day too, I called myself a wannabe gardener, because I brought a basket, and in the basket I had fabric, and scissors, and needles and thread, maybe you remember that, and I held up a piece of fabric with holes in it, that was used for the quilted quadriad in there, because that's what I could do then. I could grow textile things. And this year I've progressed a little bit. I actually have a seed tray of lettuce starts behind my sofa. Because between the sofa and the window, that's where the south sun comes in. I just have to remember to pull the shade up, you know, in the bright sun of the day, because yesterday I forgot Columbia River was playing at Canterbury, and so I wasn't home, and I came home and they were all like, boo. That's me. That's the kind of gardener I am. But I am trying. I have some potatoes planted. I have purple potatoes and Yukon Gold potatoes, and I got them from the basement where I forgot about them. And so they sprouted. And so I planted them, and they're coming up. Kind of in spite of me. And I also have started a hay bale garden. And so I've got 4 bales of hay. I found this online because I wanted kind of a raised bed, you know, like that high. Because getting down on the ground for me is no longer real easy. And I thought, this is perfect because it's about yay high. And you lay out your bales of hay and you treat them for like 5 days. You water them, and then you start putting things like urea on them to kind of begin to break them down. And then make little holes in it and put dirt in. And I thought, I can do that. Whereas if I made a whole rock garden and tried to fill it with how many, you know, yards of dirt that you'd have to shovel into the wheelbarrow, I ain't going to do that. This I can do. So I'm making it. I'll let you know next year what happened. I have a real thrill because 2 years ago when I moved to Kelso, it was the first time that I re-encountered black dirt. I had black dirt in Illinois. Gorgeous black dirt, and I didn't have to buy it. You know, it came in the yard. And then I moved to South Carolina. They have red clay. And the first time that I moved to that house, and I got out my little trowel, and I went to dig it in the ground, and went, never mind. It just turns to concrete. So there went 20 years without gardening. And then I moved out here and moved up to Kalama. I had a lovely view, the river and stuff, and the elk and the deer. Great fun. And I had blue clay. Now, if I was a potter, that would have been ecstatic, because it was the kind of clay you could actually make a pot out of. Unfortunately, most of it was covered with blackberries. So I'm pretty excited now to have a garden with black dirt. So maybe I can be a little more fruitful. I've got gardener friends. One of them is a master gardener, for Pete's sake. I'll never make it to that level. And the other is a master gardener without the title. And so I get lots of advice about what to plant when, and how to use the hay, and how to use fertilizer. And so I've already been told that I'm 2 weeks behind fertilizing my little lettuce starts. But you know, stuff has to grow in spite of me. I've got a rose blooming already. In spite of me. They just sit there, and they know they've got to do their own thing. And so I'll get to the lettuce on Tuesday. I've been busy till now. Tuesday, I can do the lettuce, and it might actually get some food. But my gardener friends tell me about all kinds of fertilizer, because let's face it, to grow anything and have it be fruitful, you need 3 things. And that's not one of them.
The gospel just dived into the rhododendron.
Gospel. Going for the flowers. You need sun. You need water. You need fertile soil. The sun we can't do anything about. Okay? The water, sure. I haven't yet gotten a rain barrel, but I'm working toward it. And soil. That's what we can do something about. And there's all kinds of things that we can do. That's not one of them either. We can use chemical fertilizers, but I don't like chemicals. I don't like them anywhere around me or in the house. So that's not an option. Another option is organic meal, like fish meal, bone meal. Hi. And another option is compost. I do have a little composter. And so things that we would consider waste, dead leaves, grass clippings, kitchen waste, goes from waste to magic in compost. And then we can go to the most original and probably the best fertilizer. Animal poop. Rabbits, chickens, cows, manure. And it's interesting to me, as I started thinking about this, how the animal eats the plants, gets its own nutrition from it, deposits the fertilizer on the plants to feed the plants that the animal's going to eat.
Watch it.
And we have a really neat cycle. We have a really neat cycle going on between the plants that we're to care for and the fertilizer that they need. Now, all of this is really nice, but how does it apply to us? When God tells us, be fruitful, bear fruit. Well, I guess we can do that rather literally by having children. But sometimes we don't have children. Sometimes the children move away. Sometimes the children die. How can we still be fruitful? I think the readings today give us a good clue. If you plant the same kinds of vegetables in the same place every year, even I know that's not a good thing. I still planted my potatoes in the same place, but next year they'll be different. Why? Because the soil gets depleted. And it doesn't have the nutrients. Doesn't have the nutrients to give those potatoes what they need for a third or fourth crop. Well, sometimes we become depleted. I think our way of bearing fruit other than children is service. Whether it's to our families, to our friends. Our church provides many different kinds of service opportunities. even including sitting at home and praying. You don't have to go anywhere. You can join our new prayer circle, or many of the other ministries of this church, or even out in the community. So the community provides ways. But as you know, you can get depleted. And so how do we refertilize ourselves? Well, I think one of the necessities of life is light. We have to grow with light. And does not the life of Christ give us that light? Water. At Easter we have baptisms. I don't know about you, but I got watered. Right? We always get watered, and we renew our baptismal vows to recall that watering. And that then gives us light and water. And I think the fertilizer, making us a fertile soil, comes from that act of contrition, repentance, and a blessing that renews us, renews our soil, and gives us a way to continue to be fruitful. And so I will leave you with a question you can ask yourselves. How fruitful and fertile is your soil?